dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky. This is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning. It is 5:30 on Monday, May the 20th. I'm Will Puckett. Thank you for tuning into Mountain News this morning. Well, it's going to be a warm one, and that's pretty much all you need to know for this week. Let's bring Brandon in this morning. Brandon, what should people expect today and tomorrow and as they go throughout their week?
Next couple of days are fairly mild, considering we're in the mid-upper 70s, and then the heat really cranks in as we head deeper into the forecast. Let's go to Line Pinpoint Doppler radar for a quick look. A few stray showers around this morning. Temperatures in the 60s and 70s as you head out the door. Some spots a little cooler, some spots a little warmer than this time yesterday. Your 12-hour planner up to 79 later today with clearing skies. Full forecast in just a few minutes. Will?
All righty, Brandon. Thank you, sir. Well, the primary election is tomorrow, and candidates are crisscrossing the state trying to get their last-minute messages out. But even with big races on the ballot, some Kentuckians won't even bother with the polls. Garrett Weimer breaks down the numbers and shows us how state leaders are trying to change the trend.
3.4 million Kentuckians are registered to vote in the primary. But Secretary of State Allison Lundergan Grimes, the state's chief elections officer, projects only a fraction of them will actually go to the polls, 12.5%.
That's a little over 400,000 folks out of 3.4 million.
Secretary of State Allison Lundergan Grimes was on Kentucky Newsmakers telling Bill Bryant it's not okay for so few people to show up. Her office uses absentee ballot totals as an indicator of turnout for Election Day. She says the state's number of registered voters is above average, but they can't have their voices heard if they don't vote.
There will be more people that will show up across Kentucky and visit Walmarts on Election Day than will show up and vote at the polls for who is going to run things in Frankfort.
The 12.5% expected is roughly the same turnout in the 2015 primary, the last time we had a governor's race. That year, the highest participation was from folks 62 and over, with 22% turnout in the primary. Only about 4.5% of the youngest voters showed up at the polls. This time around, state officials are urging voters to prove the low projection wrong and have their voices heard.
We can do better. We should be doing better.
Grimes says voters should keep in mind that the margins are often slim and every vote counts. You may remember one state lawmaker won an election last year by a single vote. At the Capitol, Garrett Weimer, WKYT.
Here at home, we had a election won by a coin flip. It's that close. Now, again, Election Day is tomorrow. Polls are open from 6 in the morning to 6 at night. Now, West Virginia Governor Jim Justice is set to appoint a law firm investigator to fill a vacancy in the House of Delegates today. The governor's office said in a news release that Justice will appoint Chuck Little to the 9th District seat, which serves Wirt and Wood counties. It's a first for Republicans. Michigan Congressman Justin Amash is calling for Congress to move against President Trump, accusing him of obstructing justice. Amash wants him impeached, joining a chorus of Democrats demanding the same. As for President Trump, he noticed and fired back. Weijia Jiang is at the White House with more.
In more than a dozen tweets, Congressman Justin Amash made his case that the Mueller report shows President Trump has engaged in impeachable conduct, and it includes multiple examples of conduct satisfying all the elements of obstruction of justice. Attorney General William Barr drew the opposite conclusion.
The evidence developed by the special counsel is not sufficient to establish that the president committed an obstruction of justice offense.
Amash said Barr has deliberately misrepresented Mueller's report. President Trump accused Amash of having an ulterior motive, getting his name out there through controversy. He also tweeted, defending himself, no collusion and ultimately no obstruction, adding Justin is a loser who sadly plays right into our opponent's hands.
It's very disturbing. This is exactly what you would expect from Justin. He never supported the president, and I think he's just looking for attention.
For the most part, Republicans have unified around the president.
And the special counsel's finding is clear. Case closed.
And Democratic leaders are hesitant to call for impeachment, arguing there's no chance it would pass the GOP-controlled Senate.
We see no signs of that yet.
But on Face the Nation, Representative Adam Schiff, chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, said the process may be a tool to find answers.
If the only way that we can do our oversight is through an impeachment proceeding, then maybe we have to go down that road.
Democratic leaders have said they think Congress can work together despite this tension over the Mueller report. On Wednesday, they're planning to meet with President Trump here at the White House for part 2 of their talks about a sweeping $2 trillion infrastructure bill. Weijia Zhang, CBS News, the White House.
Now, the United States, Mexico, and Canada have come to an agreement. President Trump was expected to lift steel and aluminum tariffs on the two countries over the weekend. This clears a key hurdle for President Trump's replacement for the North American Free Trade Agreement, or NAFTA. Canada and Mexico would not ratify the new agreement until the metal tariffs were removed. President Trump imposed the tariffs more than a year ago in response to what the U.S. called a flood of excess Chinese commodities onto global markets. Dozens of abortion rights advocates are preparing a national protest Tuesday. This coming after recently passed state bills that ban most abortions. The Alabama law prohibits all abortions except when the woman's life is at risk or the presence of a lethal fetal anomaly. It does not include exceptions for incest and rape. More than a dozen states have either passed or considered measures to restrict abortions this year. Not all Republicans are on board with the laws.
I'm pro-life, but there ought to be exceptions for rape and incest and where the life of the mother is at risk.
President Trump said the same thing in a weekend tweet, saying his stance on the issue is similar to the one taken by former President Ronald Reagan. Now, we continue to follow breaking news this morning out of Wayne County. A large fire is burning at Conley Bottom Resort. The resort is on the banks of Lake Cumberland. This video shot by Scotty Morrow. There is a pretty big response. Firefighters and police are on the scene. We are told there are no injuries as of right now, but firefighters on scene are saying there are, quote, major losses. Radio station WKYM in Monticello is reporting the main dock and the Lighthouse Cafe are two of those losses. We are working to learn more, and we'll keep you posted as we do. Now, one of the world's largest cities is in the grips of crippling air pollution. High temperatures, car exhaust, and smoky wildfires are conspiring to make Mexico City's air especially hazardous. That means more than 21 million people must now cope with the choking smog. Elementary schools were ordered to close on Thursday. Some public works projects have been suspended, and drivers have been asked to stay off the roads. Authorities have also recommended residents avoid exercising outdoors. Mexico City Mayor Claudia Sheinbaum says her administration is working on a comprehensive plan to address not only the current emergency, but also air pollution in the long term.
In order to reduce pollution, we have to go to the sources. In the case of Mexico City's metropolitan area, it has to do with vehicles, with factories, and recently with higher temperatures and wildfires.
According to Mexico's Department of the Environment, there were as many as 100 wildfires burning in a total of 20 out of the 32 states in the country this week. A woman was shot yesterday in Leslie County. Kentucky State Police tell us she was flown to UK Medical Center, but we do not know her name or the extent of her injuries. We will continue to update this story as we get more information. To Tennessee now, where deputies say a Claiborne County man is accused of killing his father. Daniel Eli was charged with criminal homicide after allegedly shooting his father. Officials say it happened Friday evening. A motive is not known at this time. In Ohio, a bill now in the state legislature would allow people convicted of aggravated murder to avoid the death penalty if they are found to have a serious mental illness at the time of the offense. Qualifying death row inmates could petition for resentencing. Some prosecutors in Ohio have opposed the bill. One person was taken to the hospital after they were pinned underneath a train in downtown Columbus, Ohio, Saturday evening. The first call came in shortly after 5 p.m. in the area of West Rich Street and Starling Street. Columbus Fire Chief Steve Martin says the woman was hit and drugged by the train engine and was pinned underneath as a result. She was taken to Grant Medical Center where she underwent emergency surgery. The victim remains in stable but critical condition. She is expected to survive her injuries. A mini music festival was held right here in the mountains yesterday to raise money for the Floyd County Animal Shelter. WYMT reporter Lauren McCord talked to people at the event and has more.
When people are in need, the community comes together and helps out.
Need all the help we can get because we're just a very small shelter trying to do a lot of work.
When the Floyd County Animal Shelter needed a helping hand, Mike Vance knew just what to do.
This is a dream come true for me to get it here.
He and other members of the Floyd County Community Foundation wanted to show their appreciation for all the animal shelter's hard work,
which has been in existence for a long time and do a wonderful job taking care of animals.
So Vance shared an idea he had for years, hosting a small music festival here in the county.
But this is what we hope would become a signature event for the foundation,
with headline entertainment being from right here in the mountains.
And the fact that the folks here at Floyd County have put this whole program on, they invited us to come up and sing, we're really glad to be a part of that because these animals need all the help we can give them.
Supporting the local shelter,
because their support is what makes all this work.
That is near and dear to so many. In Floyd County, Lauren McCourt, WYMT Mountain News.
For more information on how you can donate to the animal shelter, you can log on to our website at WYMT.com. Steve Croft will retire from 60 Minutes at the end of his 30th season on America's most watched news program. The 73-year-old correspondent is currently the news magazine's longest tenured reporter, having reported nearly 500 60-minute stories, many among the broadcast's biggest moments. Croft announced his plans to step down Sunday after the broadcast's 51st season finale. 60 Minutes will celebrate his 50-year career as a journalist with a special tribute broadcast this September. Well, Avengers Endgame finally lost its top spot at the box office this weekend, and the competition wasn't even close. We'll have the weekend's box office highlights straight ahead.
If you're not a fan of the summer preview we've had for the last couple of days, enjoy the next two, because after that, all bets are off. I'll tell you about it here in about 3 minutes.